The glass towers of Blackwood Enterprises gleamed beneath the golden sun, their mirrored surfaces catching fragments of sky and ambition. To the outside world, they symbolized innovation and success. A kingdom built by two brilliant minds, Isabella Hart, and together, they were unstoppable, the power couple every magazine adored. But inside those walls of glass, where reflections masked reality, something darker was growing. Jealousy, doubt. And in the shadows beyond, Victoria Lang watched and waited. Once Isabella's closest confidant, she had been dismissed years ago for betrayal, her career shattered by the very woman she had once called mentor. The humiliation never left her. It became the ember that fueled her every thought. It began subtly, a whisper in the dark corners of the digital world, anonymous emails, edited photos, hints of secret meetings that never happened. Slowly, those whispers crept into Emil's mind, quiet but relentless. He wanted to trust Isabella. He had always trusted her. But the timing of her late nights, her careful tone on phone calls, the new passwords she refused to share, all became puzzle pieces that didn't fit. When he finally asked her, his voice trembling, "Isabella, are you hiding something from me?" The world between them cracked. Her shock was genuine, her eyes wide with disbelief. "You think I would betray you?" she whispered, voice shaking. His silence said enough. That night, two people who had once shared everything slept in separate rooms, the cold distance between them heavier than any argument. As days turned to weeks, Victoria tightened her web. She infiltrated Blackwood S systems with the precision of someone who knew its every vulnerability because she had built part of it. Her fake credentials, her backdoor access, her carefully timed data leaks all pointed in one direction, Isabella. Meanwhile, Emil's heart was a battlefield. He caught himself watching Isabella, studying her every move, searching for signs that she still belonged to him. Her focus on work, once admirable, now seemed suspicious. Every unexplained message became an accusation in disguise. The empire they had built now stood on brittle glass. Meetings turned tense, conversations turned brief. At home, silence stretched between them like an ocean. Emil began coming home later and later, claiming deadlines, while Isabella pretended not to notice the growing gap. But she did. Every moment of distance felt like losing a piece of herself. When they finally exploded, it wasn't just anger, it was heartbreak laid bare. "You're letting lies destroy us," she shouted, her voice breaking. "And you're hiding the truth from me," Emil fired back. "I can't ignore what I see, Isabella." Their words echoed through the house, leaving behind a silence so deep it felt alive. The nights that followed were long and merciless. Isabella sat alone at her desk, staring at blueprints that blurred through her tears. The company she had built with love was turning into the very weapon used against her. In the reflection of the glass, she no longer saw a visionary. She saw a woman breaking under invisible weight. Her phone buzzed with another alert from the board. More inconsistencies, more missing funds under her authorization. "This isn't possible," she whispered to herself. But even as she said it, the doubt in Emil's eyes replayed in her memory like a wound that would not heal. Across town, Victoria was in her penthouse, watching the chaos unfold from her glowing computer screen. She moved with surgical calm, sipping wine as code scrolled across her monitor. Her hired hackers sent her updates, every forged document, every stolen login. "Keep pushing," she instructed them coldly. "Make her look untouchable, like she's hiding something big." In her mind, she wasn't just ruining Isabella, she was rewriting history. In her delusion, Emil would see the truth, that she had always been the one who understood him, not Isabella. One rainy night, Victoria appeared at Emil's office pretending vulnerability. Her dress was soaked, her mascara smudged just enough to seem sincere. "I shouldn't be here," she said softly, her voice trembling. "But you deserve to know the truth. Isabella's not who you think she is." Emil stiffened, but didn't turn her away. She spoke with false pain, weaving stories of board conspiracies, secret meetings, and confidential leaks. Each word was poison disguised as concern. "I'm sorry," she whispered, resting her hand lightly on his arm. "I just don't want to see you hurt anymore." And when she left, her perfume lingered in the air long after, clouding his judgment further. Days later, disaster struck. A confidential prototype design leaked to the press, causing Blackwood's stocks to plunge overnight. The evidence pointed directly to Isabella's email. The board demanded answers. Emile, cornered and exhausted, confronted her in the conference room. "Tell me it's not true," he said, his voice hollow. Isabella's chest tightened. "You know it's not." "Then explain this," he snapped, slamming a printed report on the table. She scanned the pages. Digital trails, timestamps, logins, all under her name. Her legs nearly gave way. Around them, executives watched in stunned silence. "I didn't do this," she said, her voice breaking. "You have to believe me." Emile's silence was worse than anger. He simply turned and walked away. That night, Isabella sat in her darkened office long after everyone had gone home. Rain streaked down the tall windows as the city lights blurred outside. She whispered to herself, "If I can't clear my name, I'll lose everything." But deep inside, what terrified her most wasn't losing the company, it was losing him. She thought of their first years together, of their shared dreams, their endless nights building this empire brick by brick. How had love turned into suspicion so quickly? She pressed her hands over her face, choking back tears, unaware that Victoria's cameras were still watching. Meanwhile, Emile tried to drown his doubts in work, but his heart wouldn't let him rest. Every time he looked at Isabella's photo on his desk, something inside him twisted. "She couldn't have done this," he muttered to himself. But the evidence kept whispering otherwise. He began losing sleep, haunted by the thought that he might be wrong. In rare moments of quiet, he replayed her voice, her pleas, her disbelief. Guilt crept in, slow and heavy, but pride kept him silent. In her hidden workspace, Victoria realized her plan was nearly complete. She just needed one final act to bury Isabella for good. She hacked into company financials and rerouted funds through offshore accounts, ensuring all trails led back to Isabella's personal access codes. Then she leaked another story to the press, anonymous sources claiming insider fraud. Overnight, Isabella became a headline villain. Reporters camped outside her home. The empire she built was collapsing, and Victoria smiled as she watched the world turn against her. But even in the ruins, Isabella refused to give in. She began investigating the digital logs herself. For days she slept on the office couch, combing through codes, cross-referencing access times. One night, her heart stopped when she noticed a familiar set of credentials buried deep in the records. Victoria Lang. "It's you," she whispered. Rage replaced her fear. She printed every file, every transaction, hundreds of pages of proof, and placed them neatly in a folder marked Truth. At the same time, Emile stumbled upon something that shattered his own certainty. Reviewing archived footage from the company servers, he found that during one of the alleged data leaks, Isabella's security card was used while she was physically with him at a charity gala. His hands trembled. The impossible had happened. Someone had framed her. The realization hit like thunder. Without wasting another moment, he stormed out of his office, guilt burning in his chest. When Emile arrived at Isabella's office that night, she was still awake, her eyes red from exhaustion, but alive with determination. Papers were spread across her desk, proof of Victoria's betrayal. He stood silently at the doorway, drenched in rain, the weight of remorse breaking through his composure. "You shouldn't be here," she said softly without looking up. "You were right," he said hoarsely. "About everything. You were protecting us. And I destroyed that trust." She finally looked at him, tears brimming but voice steady. "You stopped believing in me, Emile. That was all she needed." He stepped closer, trembling. "I was blind," he whispered. but I see you now. And I'm so sorry." When she collapsed into his arms, the walls between them fell at last. The embrace carried months of pain, love, and forgiveness all at once. For the first time in what felt like forever, they were on the same side again. The next morning, the truth exploded. Together they walked into the boardroom and exposed Victoria's entire operation. Emails, logs, stolen accounts. Every secret laid bare. Victoria's arrogance shattered as police entered. "You think this changes anything?" she spat. Emil's voice was calm. "It changes everything." Victoria was led away, her empire of deceit falling apart behind her. The storm finally ended. The company recovered, stronger under Isabella's restored leadership. The home that once echoed with silence was filled again with warmth, soft laughter, music, and forgiveness. Emil often watched her quietly, wondering how he could ever make up for the pain he caused. One evening, beneath the golden light of their balcony, he knelt before her with a small velvet box. "No more shadows," he said. "No more doubts. Just us." Isabella smiled through tears. "Forever," she whispered. A year later, sunlight spilled through their home as Isabella held their newborn daughter, Sarah. Emil leaned close, whispering, "She has your smile." Isabella laughed softly. The name hung in the air like a promise, a fresh start, untainted by the ghosts of the past. Outside, their empire stood tall, but inside their hearts, love had rebuilt what envy once tried to destroy. As the sun dipped beneath the horizon, Emil kissed Isabella's forehead and whispered, "We made it." She smiled, her gaze on their child. "Yes," she murmured. "We finally did."